What's up, guys? Today we're going over one of the coolest things added this season, the Monte Carlo Catalyst, which you can get from doing strikes, Crucible, or Gambit like usual. And in this video, we'll be going over everything you need to know about this Catalyst. And when this video goes live, I'll be live on Twitch. You can come hang out. The link will be in the comments and description. But jumping straight into the Monte Carlo, a quick refresher over its perks if you haven't used it in quite some time. First, with the exotic perk, dealing damage with this weapon reduces your melee cooldown and grants a chance to fully charge your melee ability with each kill. Then its secondary perk is more or less just Swashbuckler. This weapon gains increased damage from melee kills and kills with this weapon. Melee kills grant ammo for this weapon. And finally, the new Catalyst. At 5 stacks of Markov chain, hold reload to switch between your melee attack and the Monte Carlo's bayonet. Landing a bayonet melee hit grants melee energy. So overall, the way this weapon and Catalyst works is kills with this weapon will give you 1 stack of the buff, a melee kill will give you all ×5 instantly, and anytime you have ×5 you can hold reload to ready the bayonet, and then you can go ahead and stab wherever you want and do a lot of damage. So comparing it to our base melee and the bayonet, it's doing 15.4x the damage of a base melee, which is quite a lot, one of the highest melee buffs in the entire game. And on top of doing a lot of damage, these hits will also give you your melee energy back. So as you see, I have roughly like 10-20% my melee charge. Go and get a hit with the bayonet, and now I have like 75. So it's a good 50% of your melee energy back with tier 10 strength, just getting a hit with the bayonet. And with the way that all you need to ready the bayonet is ×5 of the perk, and with the way this perk works like Swashbuckler, where a melee hit will give you ×5 and refresh the timer, you can, if you want to, just use it over and over again, get a kill, ready it again, get a kill, ready it again, get a kill, over and over again. So you can use this scene as often as you want, infinitely. Some other cool things I found about this Catalyst is once you ready it, you can obviously still use the AR as the AR, reload it wherever you want, and the bayonet, as you see with the reticle, will always be ready whenever you need it. Another cool thing is when you have it ready, you can't use your base melee or your charge melee, but if you swap weapons, you can. And then when you swap back to the Monte Carlo, it's still ready, so you can kind of store it and use it whenever you want. But with how easy it is to have this bayonet up and ready, they did reduce the damage of it versus certain enemy types. So versus minors and majors, there is no difference. It was the 15.4x, but versus champions, it does roughly 50%. Versus mini bosses, for example, Carl, roughly a third. And versus bosses, it's going to be a fifth of its damage. So it's definitely not going to be some boss deleting infinite melee Catalyst, but we can increase the damage of this thing by a lot very, very easily. So starting off with the new strain aspect on Titan, Banner of War. In this video, we're going to be mostly focusing on the melee part, but defeating a target with a melee attack to raise a Banner of War that pulses with energy, periodically healing nearby allies, increasing melee and sword damage. Targets defeated by you and nearby allies charge the banner, increasing the speed of its pulses. So quickly going over how this works, just simply get a melee kill to get the Banner of War for 15 seconds. And as you see, there's going to be a huge green radius around you. You and any ally in that radius, whenever it pulses, will heal and will receive the sword and melee buff. And as you or any ally in the radius gets kills, I think it's roughly like 3, you will get a higher stack of Banner of War, all the way up to ×4, the max one, and what those do will just increase the rate of the pulses, which heal you. So not only is this giving us increased melee damage, which we'll talk about here in a second, it's also going to keep you alive and do a decent job of healing you and allies nearby. Maybe not quite that of like a healing rift, but it's definitely a lot of healing. So we look at the melee increase of this Banner of War. It's going to be exactly a 40% or 1.4x melee buff, and it doesn't matter how many stacks you have, ×1, ×2, ×3, ×4, they're all the same. As long as you have any stacks of Banner of War, you're going to have that 40% melee buff, and it does stack with the bayonet on the Monte Carlo, going up to 220k now on the red bars. And we can further pair this with either the Worm Gods or the Synthoceps. So with the Worm God, it will be a little bit higher. And with this, just like the Monte Carlo perk, it will go up to ×5. And it does stack with the Banner of War. As you see, we very quickly do a lot of damage. 830k to any red bar or major that wants to stand in front of us. They are just simply deleted. It doesn't matter how underlight you are, they're probably going to die. So for most scenarios, that's going to be quite overkill and harder to maintain than just simply running the Synthoceps. With this, it's going to be a little bit less damage, but as long as you're surrounded, you will always have it. So it's going to be a lot easier to just go into encounter and have it right away. And I mean, you're still doing what, 664,000? Yeah, I think even like 20 under versus a very healthy major, they're probably still dead. So I think that is more than enough damage for your melee. So overall, I definitely see this build being really good in like Nightfalls or Lost Sectors because versus champions, it was only 50% damage, right? That's not too much less damage, so you're still, with Synthoceps, be pumping out like 300k to a champion, right? Like that's still honestly a lot of damage from this combo versus champion, and all the majors and things like that, and Nightfalls be really good. I've also been greatly enjoying this with my favorite use of Monte Carlo before this catalyst came out, which is with the Thunderclap build on Titan. I think I've already made a video on this last season or season before, but with the point contact cannon brace, just quickly mousing over everything I use. If you need to slow down and pause, you can. But the way it works now with the bayonet, you really take advantage of the energy back from bayonet hits with the catalyst. And what we can do is just go back and forth between the Thunderclap and the bayonet hit, and it's just like an infinite combo where when you use the Thunderclap, you get, depending on how many things you kill, 50%, sometimes even more of your energy back, but then you just get a hit with the catalyst and get the other remaining part back, and you just go back and forth forever. So Thunderclap, then bayonet, Thunderclap, bayonet, just forever. And the Thunderclap is going to be extremely good for group activator with the jolt and all that good stuff, and do a decent amount of damage, but then the bayonet will be really good for majors. So honestly, with just our two different melee abilities, we have a pretty solid all-around build. All we need is like boss damage of some sort, which you can use a rocket, machine gun, wherever you want, and you have that covered too. And not to mention the Monte Carlo, the AR part is just all around a very good weapon with the AR buffs. It has a way to auto reload with melee hits. Doing damage with the weapon will get melee energy back. On kill, there's a chance to get the full melee back. Overall, it's just a really good weapon. And this season, with the artifact having anti-barrier for AR, obviously it's going to work really well versus champions, Lost Sectors, Nightfalls, whatever it is. And you can even further combo in with the Unstoppable Fusion, Overload Machine Gun, and run a loadout like this and have all three covered. So not only is this extremely fun and very lethal, it's also very practical this season for in-game content. So overall, the two builds I showed off, the Synthoceps / Worm Gods with the Banner War, that's going to be a really good all-around build if you want like insane damage from your melee attacks. And the team survivability of the Healing Pulses, that is really good and definitely worth playing with. And we also have the Thunderclap build, which is going to be a more well-balanced all-around build with a really good ability, one of my favorite abilities in the game, that is just further enhanced with this catalyst. Anyways, I think that's going to be it for the video. The rest of the video will just be some Strike gameplay. I wish I could record some Lost Sector gameplay. I've just been busy playing the new season. It's only like day 2 when I'm making this video, right? So I just haven't had time to do that. But I really feel like this build would be really good in solo Lost Sectors. Last season, this was my Titan build I used when I was running Lost Sectors. So now adding in the bayonet, it just should be even better. And I could always achieve really fast times with this build. So it should be really good in that content. Anyways, once again, once this video is live, I should be live on Twitch. If you're watching this at a future point and I'm not live, go ahead and follow the channel, and I should be streaming quite often. The link to my Twitch will be in the comments description. Like usual, thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time.
I'm reading dense hive signatures in a facility.